Next on the news, the effects of the Lenten Pilgrimage are being felt all over the Diocese of Brooklyn from pilgrims of all ages.
The journey is offering a lesson on Lent for the students here at St. Joseph Catholic Academy in Astoria. I'm Katie Vasquez, and I'll have that story coming up.
Then the story of an immigrant who built faith one block at a time.
Churches to Keely and to the Irish Catholics were fundamental in essentially preservation of their culture and their spirit and their world.
We introduce you to the Prince of Church Architecture, the man who helped build the Diocese of Brooklyn. Plus, they hit the dance floor at Cristo Rey Brooklyn High School, and now the results are in. Hear who won their Dancing with the Teachers competition. I'm Christine Persichetti. Currents News starts right now.
Oh, this is where you know it is the Station Church.
They've been checking in to check out churches across Brooklyn and Queens. Now that the Diocese of Brooklyn is about halfway through its journey, the travelers are taking part in a Lenten Pilgrimage lesson. While for the last 4 weeks, the pilgrims have been growing in faith and fellowship together, on Tuesday, they passed on that knowledge to the next generation. The students of St. Joseph Church in Astoria led some of the day's spiritual activities and got their own faith-filled experience. As Currents News' Katie Vasquez reports, it's one they won't soon forget.
Catholics of all ages unite together in prayer.
At the hour of our death, amen.
As these students from St. Joseph's Catholic Academy lead the packed parish in praying the rosary during this Lenten pilgrimage stop.
It was a blessing because I love to pray all the time. I pray before I go to bed, and I feel like it brings me closer to God.
Holy Mary,
Father Vincent Chiricella, the pastor of St. Joseph Church in Astoria, encouraged the young people to get involved in the journey.
On this special day, the Feast of the Annunciation, it was really wonderful to see the children so in love with their Lord and our Blessed Mother.
blessed art thou.
Selecting volunteers like Lillian Schultz to pray a decade.
I was a little bit nervous because I'm usually, I really don't speak a lot. I'm a little bit shy and timid, but it was really fun at the same time, too.
Mary, Mother of God.
In times of stress, Lillian says she turns to Mary for guidance.
I feel safe, and I feel like the Mary's listening to me, and I feel like she can help me a lot.
It's a lesson the pilgrims of the Lenten journey know all too well, as they have spent the last 4 weeks at different churches across Brooklyn and Queens, taking part in masses, adorations, and rosaries. Father Chiricella hopes more of the young people learn from them.
A spiritual habit for the children to get into, bring them great peace throughout their lives.
It's a prayer God may have already answered.
It was really fun, and I like to see Father, and I like to be together in church.
Amen.
In Astoria, Katie Vasquez, Currents News.
To see all the stops of the Lenten Pilgrimage and make prayer requests for the pilgrims, just download the Lenten Pilgrimage app from the App Store or Google Play. You can also get more information by visiting lent.dioceseofbrooklyn.org. Members of the Irish Apostolate went on their own pilgrimage over the weekend to learn more about the Prince of Church Architecture. Currents News and The Tablet led a small group on a tour last Saturday to see some of the churches in the diocese that were designed by architect Patrick Keely. The Irish immigrant came to the U.S. in 1842 and went on to build hundreds of churches in Brooklyn, Queens, and beyond. He didn't have a degree. Patrick Keely learned from his father, who built churches in Ireland. He settled in Brooklyn and got to work on his first neo-Gothic design. And one stunning sacred space led to another. People weren't only impressed by Keely's artistry, but also his faith and work ethic. And many of his churches have withstood the test of time.
had no formal education, but he's been called the Prince of Church Architecture.
It wasn't handed to him, he earned it.
Patrick Keely, an immigrant, unwelcome but also unafraid, ushered in a Gothic revival in the 19th century on the streets of New York.
His signature designs are the arches.
He built more than 600 churches, a legacy in blueprint, spanning a new nation and reaching new heights.
Keely had this ability to elevate the spirit and create an ambiance and an environment that brought you closer to heaven.
Designs destined for greatness, but one of his greatest dreams turned to dust.
That's the only remnant of the cathedral that never quite came to be.
Tonight on Currents News, a look at the man building faith, one church at a time. Monsignor Guy Massey has immense pride in his parish. Sacred Hearts and St. Stephen and Carroll Gardens can be seen from the BQE and beyond, thanks to one of Patrick Keely's signature designs.
And south this way and north that way, you can see a lot.
The iconic sign of Keely is the tower. This cross lit up at night in the harbor. And let's look at what that meant for so many people. This parish was built by Irish immigrants, and they worked on the shore, and it was a sign of great hope.
Inside the red doors lies more of Keely's handiwork, still visible today, and symbols of his culture and faith many will never notice.
Go all the way up and you see a shamrock.
Unless you know where to look.
Keely was Irish, and his Irish just came through in all of his churches. He snuck it in.
Born in County Tipperary, Ireland in 1816, Keely's father was a builder and the source of all his training. His Irish heritage was the first and seemingly only tool he needed to launch his illustrious career.
The wooden columns are a tribute to...
As the former pastor, Monsignor Edward Duran has walked the pews of St. Charles Borromeo in Brooklyn Heights countless times, each time noticing and marveling at one of Keely's design features, from the arches to the pillars made of wood. Keely revived a centuries-old style of architecture that welcomed new arrivals to the city.
Monsignor, this was a time when Irish immigrants weren't treated very well, Catholics weren't treated very well. Were Keely's churches kind of a safe haven for them?
Immigrants were not always very well received, but in creating a beautiful piece of architecture, it represented the spirit of the Irish people, the faith of the Irish people, the positive attitude of the Irish people.
Like many of his fellow Irishmen, Keely came to the States in 1842 as an unskilled laborer.
I've been in practice for 45 years. Architectural practice is something that you get good at after 30 years. He managed to be able to have the effort, the drive, the stamina, the capability to be able to achieve what he did. And his buildings were sensational. The proportions are perfect.
With nearly 200 years of advances in technology and education, Carlo Zikorsky, the principal architect at Zikorsky & Associates, is still learning from Patrick Keely.
Our job is so minor in comparison to what Keely did that I'm almost embarrassed. But just to be associated with the building is exciting. It's thrilling.
Having restored several of Keely's churches and many more across the Diocese of Brooklyn, Zikorsky says Keely was a master at capturing each church's spirit from the inside out, like here at the Oratory Church of St. Boniface on the historic Duffield Street in downtown Brooklyn.
Churches to Keely and to the Irish Catholics were fundamental in essentially preservation of their culture and their spirit and their world.
Throughout Keely's career, he had the newly formed Diocese of Brooklyn's best interests at heart, building in money-saving features in his designs. But not every design worked in his favor.
Beautiful. This is the facade of what would have been the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception.
It's known as the cathedral that never was. Diocese of Brooklyn archivist Joe Cohen says the unfinished Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception on Claremont Avenue in Fort Greene was slated to be the Prince of Church Architecture's crowning achievement.
Think about that. 1 inch is 8 feet in this. This would have been hundreds of feet tall.
They had the plans. They started the construction. The cornerstone was laid. What happened?
The bishop took money that would have been wonderfully, given to the cathedral and supported the needs of his people. Here's a crying need for high schools by 1933, and this cathedral is never really going to happen.
Immigrants laid a foundation of faith in the Diocese of Brooklyn. Patrick Keely built upon it, forging a future for generations of newly arrived to shape their own lives, and for the Diocese of Immigrants to continue to be a safe haven for all.
To read more about Keely's impact on the Diocese of Brooklyn, just head over to thetablet.org. Faithful in Rego Park celebrated a renewal of their parish over the weekend. Bishop Robert Brennan blessing the newly renovated Stations of the Cross at Resurrection Ascension on Saturday. The depiction of Christ's death are just some of the latest additions to the church, including repainted walls, a new image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and the return of a years-old crucifix to the main church. The chapel also saw 3 new saint statues and a statue of the Blessed Mother. The renovations have been going on since last October, making Saturday's Mass a long-awaited day for the parishioners. Also over the weekend, lay ministers in Brooklyn enjoyed a day of faith and fellowship. St. Bernard of Clairvaux Parish hosted a retreat on Saturday, bringing together close to 200 lay ministers from Deanery 11, which is made up of 12 parishes in East Brooklyn. The day of reflection and prayer started with a morning mass celebrated by the presiding dean of the deanery, Father Dwayne Davis, followed by talks led by Joanne Roa, the diocesan director of adult faith formation, at a holy hour led by St. Bernard's pastor, Father John Midori, and ended with a luncheon in the parish hall. At the same time, for faithful in 3 neighborhoods in East Queens, praying the rosary just got easier. A generous parishioner of the Church of St. Mel in Flushing donated 13,000 rosaries to Deanery 4, which is made up of 9 parishes in College Point, Flushing, and Whitestone. The beads were given out at masses all weekend to encourage people to pray the rosary on the Feast of the Annunciation, which is on Tuesday. The donor is also giving away 2,000 other rosaries outside the deanery. Finally, tonight, they left it all out on the dance floor, but we now know which students and teachers at Cristo Rey Brooklyn High School have the best moves. Wow, you're looking at the first place team from the school's Dancing with the Teachers competition. Teacher Brooke Medica and her 2 senior students, Jasmine and Sinovia, who had students jumping out of their seats during their performance last Friday. The competition, inspired by the hit show, started as a fundraiser in 2017 to make sure all seniors got the chance to attend the prom. The school's principal, Dina Felipe, and her dance partner, Deborah, came in 2nd place. Do you have a story idea from your parish or school, or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number 718-517-3122. That is this Currents News Update. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us, because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.
He's been walking these hallways for decades.
It's like still walking through the halls and saying, oh God, I says, I'm 59 years old now, I'm still here. But thank God I'm still here. And like I said, to help out in the church, anything I can do.
Whether it's taking something down or putting something up, he's a fixture at the Shrine Church of St. Bernadette and its school. How Michael Carestia makes up the pulse of the parish, Wednesday on Currents News.